Michigan Outdoors is brought to you by Country Smokehouse of Almont, offering the best quality and satisfaction in homemade meats, sausage, and jerky. It's a Michigan destination. Check out the website at countrysmokehouse.com. And by Williams Gun Sight. Located in Davison, Williams has everything from used guns and gunsmithing services to shooting ranges and educational classes. Williams, on the range since 1926.
I'm just always interested in the way Indians did their tanning and all that kind of stuff. I learned tanning first of all, and then from there, pretty much is how they put the things together. I've been in business for over 22 years. I've won awards in all kinds of competitions, done things like for Get Mountain Corporation, did a lot of their new stores around the country years ago. My brother got a bear in Canada years ago on a hunt, and wanted to make a bear rug. And I really had no clue at the time how to do it, so I got hold of some books and some videos. And luckily, the Michigan Taxidermy Association, they helped me out a lot with that too. And luckily, the tannery and a friend of mine, it turned out very, very, very well. And from there, actually, I know I was doing a deer, doing somebody's fish. And like anything, it's trial and error at first. You know, you try to do this and it doesn't turn out so well, so you do it a little bit better way. You know, competing also. I competed for years, and it just makes you better and better to, you know, learn new ways, new tricks, new skills from guys from around the world and around the country, actually, that do the judging for these things. It made a big difference. So that's me. I strive to make things look the best I can. If I'm not happy with it, I don't think my customers will be happy with it either. So that's the big thing for me, you know, and also being creative. I love being creative with things that, you know, open the mouth up on something or make them running or jumping, make the habitat look real, you know, as if you're in the woods at that time or whatever. I strive for that thing. It just looks very real and just the way it should be in nature. A lot of people always ask me how do I take care of fish after they catch it. And the biggest thing is to obviously hopefully either freeze as soon as possible or keep it in the water, because obviously once it gets in the sun it fades and loses a lot of color. What I'm going to go through basically is how to take care of a fish once you catch it and ready for the taxidermist. The best thing to do is, if you can, is to get a towel of some kind and wet it down, a rag or something like that, and wrap the fish and wrap it real tight. What that does, it keeps the fins nice and tight so they won't get broken in the freezer. It also keeps the color in the fish. A lot of people like to have the original spot pattern or color in the fish that they caught. And it does for the taxidermist. It makes a big difference if you do that. If you do not, if you just put it in a bag and freeze it, usually it will get freezer burned, so the fins are very hard to work on. It loses all of its color too and gets very faded, which is a big problem. Again, you can paint a bass as a bass, but every fish has a little bit different color pattern than the other. Here's an example of some fish basically that were not taken care of properly. As you can see, there's a little rock bass, but they lost majority of their color. They're not really dried out yet, but the big problem you have is that usually if they don't do it properly, these get very brittle. The fins get very brittle and break and hard to work with. The skin is not flexible, and you have it flexible to put on the form when you mount the fish also. And again, it's nice to have the original spot pattern and colors that you caught the fish, especially with trout and salmon. Another way also to take care of your fish, if you don't want to wrap it in a towel, if it's a small enough fish, is to freeze it solid in ice, or in water, I'm sorry. Put it in water and put it back in and freeze it solid. That also does the same thing. It keeps it from getting broken or any damage in the freezer, but also keeps the color. As you can see in this crappie, all the color is still in the skin, and the fins are protected very fine by the ice. So that works well also for preserving the fish until it goes to the taxidermist. Okay, we have our fish that has been skinned and has been clean. And like I said, the skin needs to be very clean. The eyes are out and is basically ready to mount. At this point, basically what I will do is I will fill the brain cavity with some material. Also put a little bit of borax on it, which is a little bit of preservative. And then also prepare the form. I put caulk on that as a glue to glue the skin down. And then at that point, it's pretty much pinning it in place and then carding the fins so they stay open like they should be, like in the action pose. And I pack the brain cavity area. What you want to do is you want to fill up the skin of any voids. So again, you don't have any lumpy spots or empty spots in the skin. You want it to be smooth as possible. So what you do is you fill that in so the form fits right in there tight. And again, like I said, you don't have any bumps or empty spots in the skin or the mount that you're doing. And it's the same with clay. I fill all the fins, the tail, all this with clay so it smooths into that form real nice and blends in with the glue. Works very well. Basically at this point I have the fish prepped as far as I have clay around the fin race or the fin pockets and also up on the head juncture. Also I have caulk all over the form and some on the skin. It has borax on it which will preserve the skin somewhat. But also this the caulk will add as a glue and also lubricant to move the skin around. Obviously with taxidermy, called taxidermy because you taxi the skin back and forth until it fits where it's supposed to be. So at this point, I'm basically going to put the skin on the form and then getting it lined up and pin it in place. I'm trying to fill in any voids with clay where there might be a spot that is not totally filled in. There's either a dip in the skin or let's say a bump in the skin type thing. Just make sure it's smooth. The big thing on a fish mount is to have it very smooth and fit together very well. No one wants a lumpy fish. One thing on a fish mount too is when you do a fish, or if you look at fish mounts, is that obviously the fin should go right down the very center of the back. Same on the bottom of the fish. The fin should go right down the very bottom of the fish. I've seen a lot of different fish mounts where the fins are kicked off at the side one way or another, and that's again not accurate. Accurate would be if the fins are straight down the very back or down the bottom also, that they're right down the very center of the bottom of the fish. Another thing on a fish mount you'll notice also, most all fish heads come right straight off the back of the body. Some fish heads you'll see on mounts the head's down, and that's again not accurate. If you look at any fish, the head continues right into the back of the fish straight, not on a dip. I am carding the fins so they stay open. You gotta do that until they dry, and then they'll stay in place. I have carded most of the fins on the fish. The gills and everything else. So pretty much everything's pretty well carded. Now at this point, the eye socket needs to be filled with some type of material. I use a mache, because if you don't, it will shrink in. Also, some guys will overfill it and get this big old puffy cheek, which is not natural. Just a little bulge to it. Pretty common, pretty natural for all fish. So I'll just fill the eye socket. Okay, here's our fish we have mounted. It's a little rough yet. I still have to go over the skin to smooth it out and take care of any bumpy issues or anything else. Make sure the things are lined up. That's the biggest thing once you're done is make sure things are lined up. The fins are lined up, the gill flaps, everything else is lined up with each other. So I look underneath the fish, I look on top of the fish, things like that to make a big difference to find out, again, if things are lined up together. Because that's the biggest you want. You want symmetry where everything does the same thing. This fin lines up with the other fin on both sides. And again, make sure that things are smooth, things flow together, not big bumps or things are out of place. But big thing, like I said, is make sure things are in line from one fin to the other on both sides. And the tail fin, same thing, that it's in line with the body, not all bent up or bent down. And you can change that if you like also. You can have the tail go up or the tail go down a little bit. You can maneuver the skin if you'd like to. At that point, basically, once I have it where I want to have it, I put it out on the wall to dry. Okay, after the fish has dried, after a couple weeks to a month, I remove all the carding from the fins, any pins from the mouth or any other part of the fish. I put the eyes in, install the eyes. I epoxy any holes or anything else. I seal the back of the fish, and then I have to put like a sealer on this and then also paint the fish. Painting can take a while. That's where a fish really comes alive, is putting the spot patterns and the proper colors back on the fish skin.